Hey everybody, Alex from Corso Systems here. Today we're going to talk about why companies are choosing to move away from legacy SCADA systems to Ignition. As you may know, Corso Systems offers a conversion tool to convert from legacy SCADA platforms to Ignition, and also a tool to convert from Ignition Vision projects to Perspective. Our tool does a lot of the conversion work automatically, so the graphics and tags are converted, optimized for Ignition's granular and organized tag structure, and we go through a validation process to make sure that everything came across correctly, is mapped correctly into the new system, and is ready to use and deploy with minimal changes once in production. Having worked with a lot of companies doing these conversions over the last year and a half or so, with plenty more on the way, we've heard a lot of reasons why companies are choosing to move away from legacy SCADA solutions to Ignition, and we're going to recap what a few of those are here. The first major issue people have with their legacy SCADA systems, and part of the initial reason Ignition as a whole took the market by storm, was the licensing cost and the licensing structure. One thing we hear from a lot of customers is the cost of renewing their licensing with their legacy SCADA system is more expensive for renewing it for the next term than it is to buy Ignition licensing and pay for the cost of a conversion and training their operators on the new system. This is basically because a lot of the legacy SCADA systems do not follow Ignition's unlimited licensing model. They'll charge you per tag. So if you're communicating with your PLCs, you're going to have to pay for every data point you want to collect. You're going to have to pay extra for every data point you want to historize. You may have to pay per number of screens or windows in your application, depending on the platform. And you're likely going to have to pay for not only your server costs and licensing for your servers, but also licensing per client or per HMI on the floor, or someone accessing it in a control room or at their desk. With Ignition's unlimited licensing model, we don't have this. You buy your server, you add whatever modules you need to that, and you're good to go. You may need to buy more server licensing or more modules over the course of the life of the system, if you need to add functionality or add scale to the system beyond what a single gateway can handle. But you're not going to have to pay to add more tags to the system, more clients to the floor, add mobile device access for however many mobile devices folks are carrying around in their pockets. You basically set it and forget it with the Ignition licensing. So we're hearing from a lot of companies, it's cheaper to pay for Ignition and a converted project than it is to renew their legacy SCADA solution. So that's the number one reason that we've heard so far. The next most common reason people are moving away from legacy SCADA solutions is they want better access to their data. Now, most SCADA solutions were designed 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, and the goal of them was to be the single source of truth for all of your data. You would have access to trends and charts and reports in the SCADA solution, and maybe you could export data to a CSV file so you could open in Excel, but the goal was to not give access to your data for analytics packages and things outside that SCADA solution. This means connecting data into a database is rather difficult, if not impossible, from some of these solutions. Getting into the system through the outside, through like an API call, is impossible. The systems were either designed before that type of technology existed or were not designed with that in mind. Ignition solves these problems because it's built on open technology like SQL databases, meaning you can dump any data in Ignition into a SQL database, and then you can access that data from any system that can connect to your database. This is very similar to common consumer technology or anything on the web at this point, where you'll have an API set up. You can use that to get data back and forth from any system to any other system. Using the web development module, we can also expose Ignition as an API. So you can call Ignition as if you were calling any other web service and get data from the system at that point. You can also connect directly into the database from any other system, and your data is basically accessible in any tool that needs it. A lot of the process historians and analytics tools on the market now also offer direct connections into Ignition, either through the OPC UA server or via MQTT. So you can basically connect to Ignition from any other system in the easiest ways possible. In addition to accessing your data, companies want to integrate their SCADA and process control systems with their business systems more and more. We've seen this over the last 10 to 15 years with the rise of manufacturing execution systems, where you're connecting your ERP systems to your process control systems to improve process scheduling, quality control management, inventory management, customer service and customer satisfaction, track and traceability for managing recalls, and any other number of integrations you might want to do. Similarly to a web API, this is next to impossible with some of the legacy SCADA solutions. Some of them you can do it, but you're getting into archaic code, things that have been outdated and obsolete for over a decade at this point for some of the systems. So integrating with your ERP system or your warehouse management, inventory management systems, your LIMS system, any system external to the SCADA system itself can be very difficult, if not next to impossible. Ignition allows you to integrate with any other system that you may have now or in the future by exposing itself as an API using the web development module, by sending data directly into a database, being able to read data directly into a database, or being able to call other systems' APIs and interfaces directly through scripting. Or if you want to develop a module that handles that for you, you certainly can as well. This enables Ignition to basically be the backbone of your manufacturing operations by connecting everything together. We have some case studies on the website that walk through how we've set up enterprise management systems using Ignition as the single interface to consolidate ERP systems, quality management systems, customer service systems, warehouse management, inventory, and process controls and all of that. This also allows you to connect plant floor data up to these systems, so you can update production schedules based on data coming from the plant floor. If things are going to be delayed, you can know that in real time and update your production schedulers. You can update your quality team if things are going awry in the process, or update the plant floor operators if a lot came in with tests and they need to pull some raw material due to some quality issues. You can handle all of that through Ignition. Another common reason companies are moving to Ignition is mobile device access. Most of these legacy SCADA systems were invented when people had cell phones in their pocket, not smartphones, like old flip phones, before smartphones even existed. And most of these systems that we're seeing were first installed and may or may not have even been updated since smartphones came out back in 2006 or 2007. So getting access to these systems on a mobile device, good luck. Some of the SCADA systems do offer solutions where you can export your graphics to HTML and run a web server that pulls them in. Generally, this is a pretty janky setup. You're going to have a lot of limitations, a lot of performance issues, and responsive design basically goes out the window. It's going to be more of a one-to-one view of what you have in your SCADA system with a ton of compromises and changes that you have no control over. And there's no possibility for a native mobile application. So you're not going to be able to install a mobile app to access your SCADA system at all for legacy SCADA solutions. Bring the power of perspective to the table with Ignition, and you can access on any device, web browsers, desktop machines with the Perspective workstation. You can have the native Perspective mobile app that will load all your applications as a native app. You have fully responsive design and a lot of flexibility in what your graphics look like on mobile devices. And you can have different screens for mobile devices compared to desktop, or you can build individual screens using things like the breakpoint container. Based on the screen size, it will pull up a different view for you. We have a lot of blog posts detailing responsive design on the Corso Systems website and have done a lot of work in this space over the years. Ignition with Perspective is a very powerful platform for mobile device access on whether that be smartphones or tablets or technicians in the field, even on a laptop. They can open up the SCADA system in their browser and get access to all the same information they would have as if they were sitting in the control room. The last reason we see people wanting to move to Ignition is scalability. As companies grow in scale, whether through acquisitions or growing in market share and needing to create new facilities, we're finding a lot of companies running into limitations with legacy SCADA platforms. Now, if a company goes and acquires a new facility and they're running, say, Wonderware InTouch from maybe it was installed in 2015, and that was the last update that they have, and they want to integrate data from all of their plants into their enterprise, we're going to go back to earlier topics in this video with access to your data and integration with other systems, where this is going to be really difficult, if not impossible, to get this data from the other system at this new facility in Wonderware into the enterprise level data systems. So what we're finding in that type of situation is companies ripping out Wonderware at this new facility, converting that to Ignition so the operators have the same interface, they can control the process equipment the same way, and get the same data that they have, but it's easier to integrate into the enterprise level systems. From there, we can then build templates and standards so that we can roll out the same devices and equipment and UDTs across the entire enterprise. So if they add new facilities or they want to upgrade existing facilities or add new production lines, we can significantly reduce the cost to integrating these new systems into the overall Ignition platform. This speeds up commissioning time. This speeds up troubleshooting and having to deal with issues related to the SCADA system, because we're no longer necessarily building a one-off system like we would with, say, a Wonderware InTouch system. We can scale this to any size system. We could also connect to some of these legacy SCADA systems if we want to pull data out of them and manage that and help with scalability at that point. But it basically helps you grow from a single SCADA platform that's designed to be the single source of truth for a particular process to Ignition being a single source of truth for your entire enterprise, integrating with things like unified namespaces, different business systems through manufacturing execution systems or API calls. And we can even connect to different remote devices or data sources or anything that you need to get the information that you need to run your process more efficiently. We've worked with a lot of companies migrating their legacy SCADA solutions to Ignition using our automated tools. We've moved that away from a manual process to a much more automated process where we're automating graphics generation, all of the tag bindings, historical data collection, navigation strategies, security, and then we're spending the bulk of the time just doing validation to make sure everything works, significantly reducing our deployment and commissioning time by doing that work up front and giving customers a fully vetted solution using Ignition that allows them to grow and scale as their needs develop using the new platform. I'd like to thank you for watching. Be sure to check out the Corso Systems website for more information on our conversion tools and the other exciting work that we do, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.